Before we start the class, Dr. Rajni has an announcement to make.
Hari Om. So, Sujata ji asked me to let you know that she had fever yesterday and she was on flight. Her fever is not there anymore. And the COVID test so far is negative. We'll repeat it in 2 days. But in the face of COVID and flu, they recommend anyone over 65, anyone with diabetes, anyone with hypertension, anyone who's immunocompromised, anyone with autoimmune disease, anyone with kidney or liver dysfunction. It's better to wear a mask when in contact with someone with fever right now. So I have masks. If you have a mask, please wear it. If we all wear masks, then the teacher doesn't have to wear the mask. So, yes, sure, yeah, we're going to hand it out right now. They're good quality masks, and you can keep them, I think, for 2 days at least.
Please keep seated. Come and give you the mask.
Okay, no problem. So that's it during class time, to wear masks, and during the meals, just to have less conversation as possible because masks are off. That's it, and we're just being safe. So if you have any fever, any symptom of cough or breathlessness, then please do inform the office. Stay in the room and inform the office.
Shivaya. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krito Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bhed Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. So we had just entered a new topic in the last class, which says the importance of vichara. So this is something that students of Vedanta should very soon come up to and adopt it as the primary means of achieving what we all want to achieve, which is total freedom. So without vichara, the freedom is not possible. So as we saw very briefly, that if you resort to the diminishing and ultimately eliminating the mind, it does not help in the end. It is only a panacea. You just feel a little better for the time being. And there are other means of feeling better. The most popular thing in the world is to drink alcohol. You know, this is a very interesting thing. In America, we have come up with this thing called the happy hour. So what the happy hour does is, you should see the logic of it. See, most of the time, our mind raises its hand and says, we're not happy. We're not happy. So as we said, there's a long list of to do, which keeps me from being very happy. So this is a kind of like a background shruti. It's like a tanpura. Whether the music is there or not, the tanpura keeps on going. I am not happy. I am not done. I have a lot to do. I don't know what to do, but I have to keep doing it. This is the tanpura. And it's an unpleasant tanpura. And I can't escape it. You know, it's so interesting. I was a student at Berkeley when I first came to this country. And, 23 years of age. And I was reasonably doing well. I obviously got admission to a good college and I got doing well and so on. But I remember this so well. My tanpura was very insistent. In spite of achieving, coming from India, in those days, not many people really came for education. It was a very hard thing to do, to get admission. So I should have been very happy. But I wasn't. Because of this tanpura, which is the shruti, I am not happy. I am not happy. And then you try to do this, that, or the other to kind of shut it off for a while. The happy hour does a very good job of shutting it off because you tell the mind, shut up. Don't bother me. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who do it all the time. This is where you get intoxicated and drugs and so on and so forth. Why? Because of this tanpura, this shruti. I am not happy, I am not happy, I am not happy. And this I am not happy is something which is false. Because if it was real, it would never go. But you know what? It goes. It is so unreal that it goes every night. It disappears. And so, Swami Dayanandji was, as you know, many of, those of you that have been listening to him, he used to say this. He says, think about it. And I remember this, when he pointed this out to me in my life, that was another reason where I was very attracted to his teaching because it really gave me a confirmation that this Tanpura is false. Somehow I never really, knew this. Even with the teaching of Swami Chinmayananda, it didn't dawn on me. Again, I don't blame the teachers. They know what they're doing. It's just that I was not listening until I met Swami Dayanandji. And I remember this one fact that Swami Dayanandji said, which was so phenomenal. He said, look, if you analyze this Tanpura, you can have a dialogue with your mind. Why are you unhappy? Why are both of us are unhappy? And the mind says, look, you've got a number of things that are undone. You haven't done this, you haven't done this. So you compromise and say, okay, I'll keep doing it. I'll keep doing it, and one of these days, hopefully you'll be quiet. It's never going to be quiet. Why? Because the to-do list keeps on increasing. As we said earlier, I've already talked about that you eliminate a couple of to-do lists, some more come up. This is not going to end. And in some ways, our Vedantic acharyas say that please do not be fooled by yoga. Exactly the same thing. What the happy hour does for an hour, the yogis do for 2 or 3 hours through having samadhi. It's identical. Because you kill your mind for an hour or two. You are actually naturally given the killing order by Ishvara every night. Your night, the mind disappears. So in this topic of the importance of vichara, which we are going to now formalize right now in a few minutes, this kind of vichara is very important. Because if vichara means we don't really understand, we see sleep as sort of, I'm tired, so I went to sleep. Okay, now that I have slept enough, now I can get up. So the sleep and the dream, both of them, are given a very low status in my life. No, I don't mean to say that because sleep is very attractive to us. But it does not lead to any vichara. The data is there, but I don't think about it. Ishvara is given a sleep for a number of reasons. He's given a dream for a number of reasons, but the most important one is to do vichara. And the vichara here is, and this is what Swamiji pointed out a long time ago to me, and which was very useful. The vichara here is that if this Tanpura was real, it would never go away. But it goes away. And of course, Swamiji, the way he would make it go away is to give jokes. He had a pocket full of favorite jokes that are sure to make you laugh. So before he talks about all this, he makes you laugh. Then he said, you think this Tanpura was there. Didn't you for the last 5 minutes laugh as though the Tanpura had gone away? Yes. Silly jokes that we laugh at just makes this Shruti go away. This is the vichara. This is the vichara. How is it that... So I remember this so well when I met the Swamis, and they took me a long time to get to the right source, because I remember this so well. I was not a happy student at Berkeley. I mean, I was doing well and all that. In and through that was, what is this life all about? Is this... what is it? There's an American saying. What is? I really like that. He says the life sucks, and after that we die. So there was something like this that was happening to me. Is this all there is? Because I'm not terribly happy yet. Am I ever going to do that? So this thinking was always there when I met the Swamis, and it became clear to me that this is something that will go away. It is not real. Already Ishvara has given you enough hints that it can go away. I can tell you some interesting jokes that will make it go away, Swamiji used to say. And he used to say that. But it doesn't really matter. After that, once you see the fact that it is unreal, so something that comes and goes is unreal. Comes and is unreal. This is exactly what Lord Krishna says in the Gita to Arjuna. That one that was not there, and it is there now, and it's going to disappear, why are you worried about it? It is not there. So this was this is vichara. So anyway, coming back to the main topic, in this book, in the Aparokshanubhuti, the importance of vichara is very important. I think I was talking to somebody in the last few days, and this is something that became very apparent to me. The blessings given to a person. Anugraha, kripa, blessings. Some things happen where you are blessed. Blessed means what? Blessed means that your sense of problems in life disappears. I'm okay. This is a blessing. It is not something very specific. Like, when you win a lottery, let's say, you don't get blessed. You get some money. And along with the money comes a lot of worry. And so lottery is not a blessing. Blessing is a sense of peace, I'm okay. This is the blessing. This blessing has various sources that we must be very sensitive to. So we know, we see this. It starts with Ishvara Kripa. Then it takes the form of Shastra Kripa. Then it takes the form of Guru Kripa. Because the reason the Guru is useful to you is that he or she represents the Shastra, which is a blessing. And the reason that the Shastra is a blessing is that it is a creation of Ishvara. This is why I say that India is a Punya Bhumi. I cannot tell you how many lives all of us must have taken before we were born into a Vedic thinking. This is a great blessing. So the Shastra Kripa. And to reveal the Shastra is the Guru. The real Guru is not the person sitting here. The real Guru is Atma Kripa. This is the final Kripa. And the Atma Kripa only comes from Vichara. It cannot come from just peacefulness. it cannot also come from pure bhakti, that I have given my life to Vishnu, and I'm just going to, or to Shiva or Ganesha or whichever, and I'm just going to do just whatever they want to do, I will do that. Dakshinamurti also is useful to you because until you see that Dakshinamurti and I are one and the same, there's no difference. The Satyam Jnanam Anantam that we talked about is the Ishvara. This minus is an imposition on it. It is the only one Ishvara, one consciousness, one Satyam Jnanam Anantam, one Jnana Abdhi. There's not multiple oceans. It's one ocean in the whole creation. And I need to know this is who I am. It is just my own foolishness that I've grabbed on to the fact that I'm just this one wave. So this has to come from vichara. We were just talking about that the other day, that for example, do you know Krishna and Arjuna were great friends from the very beginning, or somewhere in their childhood. Krishna is the avatar of Ishvara. And if it was a great friend, close friend, he would have put his hand on his head and said, Om, you're blessed. That's it. You don't have to do anything. I am Ishvara. I've touched you. You're done. Doesn't happen that way. Ishvara is always there. It is I, in my foolishness, as we will see in the next chapter, which is the nature of ajnanam. So this is after vichara. In my own foolishness, I am just saying, this is just me. Just stay away from me. Don't bother me. So the only thing that is required is vichara. And that is what's going to deliver the goods. It is not the absence of thinking. It is not the postponement of thinking. It is to think now, because the only thing that's keeping us from a total freedom is wrong thinking. It's not lack of thinking, it is wrong thinking. So this is pointed out in 4 verses in the Anubhuti, in the Aparokshanubhuti. This goes to the section verses number 12 to 16. Is it 12 or 13? Yeah, 12 to 13. 12 to 16. And here in Hindi, Swami Akhandananda says, Vichar ka swarup, the nature of vichara. In fact, let me say just a couple of things on the word vichara. So before we actually, I'll quickly go through these 5 verses in a minute, but let's just talk about the word vichara. What is vichara? Again, I think Sanskritam is such a blessing of a language. The keys of the meaning are all given in the word itself. Okay? So, vichara means, so it comes, the root of vichara is char, which means to move. To move is called char. So thoughts are a movement. Okay? Vichara means, you can say visheshena vicharaha, visheshena charaha. Some very special way of thinking, not just any thinking, but a thinking which is very pure to what Shastra wants you to think, for your own good. Not for the sake of Shastra, but for your own good. Shastra as a Shruti is a mother. And a mother is the purest form of a human being. Because the mother wants you to be happy, more than anyone else. The father may have an ego saying, I want my son or a daughter to be great, and then I'll also feel very good about it that my son and my daughter were so well. He may have a little bit of ego. The mother doesn't have any ego. It's pure love. And so the Shruti also says, hey, can I suggest this to you? Please think about it. Wake up. You're just having some kind of a nightmare that I am just a limited person and so on. You're not limited. You're not limited. You're okay. Can you please just think about it? Can you wake up, please? I think Swami Dayanandaji had given this example, that sometimes, when your child has fever, so they get all these bad dreams. Oh, the tiger is after me, help, this, that, or the other. So their nightmares get exacerbated when they're ill, they're not well. And so the mother is sitting there quite by it and says, she puts her hand on it and says, Beta, wake up, it's okay. It's okay. Swami Chinmayananda had given this example about, this is this did happen. So in the holy time, there is a custom. I was not involved with that. But in the custom in colleges and so on, all these students have bhang, so marijuana, bhang, so they take bhang for fun. So this boy from a village who had came to a big city in the college, so in that summertime, or the holy time, sometimes in early springtime, they all gave him a lot of bhang. This fellow reacted very badly to it. He just lost his mind and said, where am I? What is happening to me? I can't believe it. I want to go home. So they all said, come on, just enjoy, this is just, don't you see, this is all make-believe? He says, no, I know what's happening. He started crying and this, that, or the other. So finally they called his mom and dad and said, I'm very sorry. This guy, he's reacted badly to it and he's losing his mind. Please come on, get it. So mom and dad both came and he says, I want to go home. I want to go home. So he said, okay, come, sit in the car. They took him back, put him on the bed. I want to go home. They say, baby, you are already at home. Don't you see? No, but I want to go home. This is what Swami Chinmayananda used to say. This is the meaning of Hari Home. He says Hari Om means Hari Home. Go back to your own home. So this is exactly our situation. That we insist on, I'm very limited. I've got a lot of problems and so on. As I said in the meditation, that we make it so complicated. And it's really praptasya praptihi. It is an acquisition of the already acquired. It is not a apraptasya praptihi. It is not an acquisition that you don't have. You are already home, but you think you are not home. This is the situation. And it only comes from vichara. So the word vichara means visheshena charaha, moving with a purpose, with a focus, under, so this word anuvritti comes in. So this is where Aparoksha Anubhuti comes in. The word anu means do you follow the instructions of the Shastra. So that is what the vichara means. Now let's go back to these 5 verses. So in these 5 verses, Adi Sankara says, so another thing, if says please think properly. So your question is, what do you mean by think properly? What is proper, what is improper? So the Shastra says, I'm very happy you asked. Here is how you should think. So in these 5 verses, the last quarter is Vicharaha Saha Ayam Idrishaha. Vicharaha Saha Ayam Idrishaha. All the 5 end with the same refrain. This is how you should think. Vicharaha Saha Ayam Idrishaha. This is the nature of your, this should be the nature of your thinking. So he says, can I give you a few suggestions? Here's it is, 5 verses only. This talks about the vichara, the swarupa of the vichara. So let's go through that very quickly. Number 12. So I can just say that. Koham kathamidam jatam, ko vai karta asya vidyate, upadanam kim asti iha vicharaha saha ayam idrishaha. Koham, who am I? So as you know, this is for Ramana Maharshi, this became the primary way where he would, and Swami Dayananda used to talk a lot more about about Ramana Maharshi. He actually went there also and looked at, followed his teaching. It was very helpful and so on. But, there's a but. Swamiji says that until quite late in his life, he would simply tell people, just keep thinking, who am I? And you will reach the goal. Swami Dayananda did not agree with that. He says this is not correct. Why? Exactly Anubhuti, that you have to follow what the path is. It's like saying, where am I going? Where am I going? This is not where I should be. I should be here. This does not lead to freedom. What leads to freedom is to find from someone, I want to go to that point, how do I get there? And then you follow that. So even though the ultimate question you should always keep in your mind is, who am I? It should be kept on the sense of, who am I that is finally free? You're not asking who am I just because you want to know, what is my gotra and all of that. That's not what helps you in your life. So the help is me, is it possible for me to be completely free of problems in life? Where is that? Who am I? How can I be that? That's the meaning of koham here. Koham kathamidam jatam. How was I born into this? So these are the methods of, so we'll talk more about this as we go. So koham kathamidam jatam ko vai karta asya vidyate. Who is the one who made me come here? Upadanam kim. What is my support? What material am I made out of? He says, vicharaha ayam idrishaha. So I'll just say a couple of more and then I'll start explaining. I'm not explaining, I'm just giving you the words. Then the number 13. Naham bhut ganaha deha, naham cha akshana ganas tatha, etad vilakshanaha kaschid vicharaha, kaschid etad vilakshanaha kaschid Kaschid vicharaha soyam idrishaha. Number 13. Number 14. Ajnana prabhavam sarvam jnanena praviliyate sankalpo vividhaha karta vicharaha soyam idrishaha. Anyway, I won't go through all of them. So now let's go through the meanings of these. But anyways, this section is specially constructed by Adi Sankara to say that vichara is ultimately your main tool for gaining freedom. And you should become familiar with it, adept at it, adopt it, and that alone will really help you. All the other gurus and texts and so on, they are only there for your mind to find out, to make up its own mind. This is the right one. Otherwise, Krishna could have just said, okay, you are free. All these arguments for 18 chapters was not necessary. It was necessary because Arjuna wanted to be convinced. And then finally he says, Nashtoham, all the Nashta Jnanam or something like that my ignorance is gone, I am now free. That is Aparokshanubhuti. So it has to be done through vichara alone, is the main thing. Okay, now let's go through some of the main points of these 5 verses. So what I did was to make some notes so that we can cover it very quickly. Okay. So, that first verse, number 12, it said, Ko vai karta asya vidyate? Who created this world? Who created? Who am I? How was I born? And who created this whole experience of life? So here, in the commentary of Swami Akhandananda, so this is exactly where the commentators are very important, because they string together the basic elements that we need to focus on throughout the book. There are some basic elements, and I'm now going to tell you one of those basic elements right now. Okay? And this is also, as I was saying earlier, it's an advanced book. I said that on the very first night. Why? Because it is the final step of freedom, and one that I may not be able to own up right away, but I should not reject it, because that is the goal. This is what we need to think about. So here comes the first of the commentators' insight into what Adi Sankara is saying. Who created this world? This is the question. Okay? So, please keep in mind the overall sense of freedom. Keep in mind the overall sense. And then from there will flow the specifics that either confirm it, or will confirm it, of course, not a question of either or not. Overall sense is this. my sense of samsara, samsara meaning, all the aspects of it, meaning that I'm a small person, struggling, not completely happy, somewhat not unhappy, somewhat unhappy, etc. This cycle, and the fact that I am limited in time, limited in space, limited in ananda. This is samsara. This samsara, this sense of samsara, individual sense of samsara, is false. It's false. There's no reality to it. All my problems are not due to someone else. They are due to my ignorance. Enormous implications to this, because it becomes very easy for me to blame others. You can even blame your prarabdha. That, what can I do? I'm miserable, but this is the way I was made. What am I supposed to do? Or you can blame other people. If that person had not done this to me, I wouldn't be in this shape. If the world allows me to do this, I'll be a lot happier. All those kinds of things. All of them should be rejected. This is the advanced nature of this book. Ultimately, you should have a constant refrain in your mind. Stop thinking about this problem is due to this or this. There's no reason for any problem except that this is an absolute ignorance on my part. None of the problems are due to any other reason except I don't see it the right way. They're not there at all. And here, this is where the dream comes in so handily, as we have talked about it. Whatever happens in the dream has no relevance to what you are. Nothing. There's no question of that person wronged me and this person, I wish I was doing this, or nothing of that kind. It's all a make-believe. This is the fundamental part of this advanced book. So this is the element that we should just keep in mind. Everything flows from this viewpoint. So, take a look at who created this, which is a normal question, right? We all ask, who am I? How was I created? Who created it? Who's responsible for it? So here, the commentator, Swami Akhandananda ji here in this case, says, even the question is invalid. It's invalid. It's invalid in the sense, it's valid as an example. I think Swami Dayanand had given this beautiful example. He said that, sometimes if you are a car salesman, they teach you. In fact, I took some sales training when IBM. I never really became a sales rep, but I took some training, and this is very reminiscent of that, what Swami Dayanand said. Swami Dayanand says he was very wise of the world. He knew exactly how the world works. He says what the salesman does is, he doesn't ask you whether you want to buy a car or not. He says, what color of the car do you like? What's your favorite color? And then you say, oh, I like, but have you seen the latest colors? Let me show you this one. This is a brand new one. Well, the question is invalid. I have not decided whether I'm going to buy the car or not. But the sales rep will never say this. He'll say, are you here to buy a car? Are you sure you want to buy a car? You really need it? Those questions. He'll say, hi, good morning. We've got some brand new cars and so, this is one new color that nobody has bought yet. This is the thing. So here, the question is, who created this world is like a sales rep saying, what color is it? It is an invalid question. How can you say this is an invalid question? Because I see this as a creation. Again, so this is where I've noticed when I started reading Aparokshanubhuti, the same concepts come again and again throughout the book. So it seems like it's repetitive, but it isn't, because it is Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. What you are doing meditation on is the one which you have thought about. And what you have thought about is the one that was introduced to you. So the same words are used, but it has a different meaning to it. So here, there is a separate section, remember? Yesterday I was talking about it, that it says the meaning of creation. So that is going to come in much more detail. But right here, Swami Akhandananda ji, I was just reading this and making some notes for myself. Swami Akhandananda says, tell me something. If something is only an appearance, is it valid to ask who created this appearance? If you see a snake in a rope, is it valid to ask who created this snake? They should be asking you. I don't see a snake. How did you think about it? He says, I saw it. Well, it was an appearance. It was a wrong thinking on your part. Has nothing to reality that's not there. How can you talk about creation, about something that was not there? So this is where Gaudapadaji's Karika of the Mandukya Upanishad goes into great detail on this. He says there is no creation. In your dream, is there a mother and a father? Were you born in it? Can you say, I saw this person and he was 50 years old. And so you think like that. In the dream you can think that I'm only 40 and I met a person who was 50 years. Was he really 50? Or is it just your own imagination? The whole dream is nothing but your own imagination. There is no reality to it. This is the final, this is the way we have to think. This is what makes this an advanced book. So the seeds of those thoughts are already put in. He hasn't discussed it yet. The Mananam and Nididhyasana has not been done yet. But it must be. So this is the value of a Mahatma who can read the words of Adi Sankara. So here it's interesting. This is a very beautiful discussion about this in some other books and so on. So the question would be, so our minds don't grasp this because we validly say, a couple of things. First of all, it looks like a creation. Secondly, not only does it look like a creation, the Shastra talks about it. Taittiriya Upanishad, Chandogya, everyone that God created, even the second sutra of Brahma Sutra, Janmadi Yasya Yataha. Brahman is the one from which the whole thing was created. It talks about created. So the question which is raised and answered by the Mahatmas is, why is it that the Shastra talks about a creation and then negates it? And then says, no, there's no creation. Why do you even talk about it? So here Swami Akhandananda ji gives a very beautiful example. He says, and I think I may have talked to you about that before you talk about subtle math to people, you have to give them some simple things. You can, to a child, you can say, you have 5 marbles. Okay, I'm going to take 3 of them away. How many are left? And after a while, about 3 or 3.5, they will say only 2 are left. Right now, our 2-year-old doesn't understand. She now, if you ask her, how old are you? She'll say 2. She does that. But subtraction and addition, no. Then comes the next stage. And the next stage is where the teacher says, suppose you had 15 marbles. So the student will say, but I don't have 15 marbles. No, I know you don't have 15 marbles, but suppose, visualize you have 15 marbles. 15 marbles. So you say 5, 10. Okay, 15. Oh, I don't know. But I don't have them. I know, just stay with me. Well, you have 15 marbles. Okay, got it? So, okay, I got it. Okay, now 10 of them are gone. Okay, so how many are left? So you might make a mistake. Finally you said, okay, 5. Now those 5 are also gone. How many are left? 0. Right? So, at first you had 15 marbles. No, at first you had 0 marbles. Then you had 15 marbles. And now 15 marbles are gone. You're left back to 0 marbles. Is that clear? Yes, it is clear. So you see, you can come up with some kind of an intermediate stage and then resolve it. Why? Because mathematics is subtle. It is not arithmetic. It is now you have formulas. You multiply this by so much as though you were doing it. And so from there you can really come up with very complex situations without it being there. That is the reason for the creation. So the Shastra talks about the child in us. We are like, we don't understand that there is no creation. We don't accept the fact that this Jagrata Avastha is false. We're not there yet. It is false. So for the time being it says, suppose there is a Jagrata Avastha. Suppose there is a dream state, which it is. This is where Ishvara wants us to think. It's not there. My dear, the whole thing is false. You are what you are. You and I are one and the same. I am Satyam Jnanam Anantam. You are Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Where else is there? There's nothing there. But I'm not ready for that yet. That doesn't sound, and I'm not acceptable. So from a spiritually, I'm a 2-year-old. And maybe a 5-year-old that is capable of saying 15 marbles. This is the reason why the Shastra says, yes, there is a creation. only to negate it at the end. This is a very fundamental part of this Aparokshanubhuti. And at the end of that, it will be, when the Nididhyasana comes, it will be gone. Everything will be gone. This is what we have to think about. This is the nature of vichara. So we'll continue with that in the next class. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. By the way, I did talk to Shuddhatmaji yesterday about starting the class at 11:15 to go up to 12:15, and for a number of reasons we decided not to do that. So I think we'll continue to keep it this way. Perhaps what I might do is at the end of the next class, which will be at 12, we can extend it by a few minutes, so I don't have to be, because I'm very particular about this. I want to be punctual about closing the class. But there we can be a little bit more, and also any satsang or questions about that session can be done. So we are not just sitting there waiting for, because the puja is at 12:15. So that's the decision.